Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video I want to talk about validation, because when you've been harmed in life, when you've been abused, when you've been mistreated, when you've been robbed, when you've suffered, we want to be validated by our experience. But when it comes to narcissistic abuse, the validation never comes from the person, who harmed us. The last thing that a narcissist will want to do is admit fault, sincerely apologize, try to change their way, make any type of reparations. This isn't what they do. And if they mimic it, it's for selfish reasons. Okay? It is for selfish reasons. And I've seen this time and time again. I've heard about it from the people that I coach and different people's stories that I've read. And it's just a fact. So where does that leave the survivor at the end of the day? Once this person has smeared your name, after they've done all these things to you, never taken any accountability, never made an acknowledgement, never gave an apology, never tried to correct it. This is something that could, mentally bother a survivor, because narcissistic abuse, that's traumatizing. Especially for those of you, the longer you were in it. And then I can't even just say that, because I had a brief relationship with a narcissist that completely devastated my life. And this wasn't a relationship that went on for decades. It didn't even go on for a year. But it really devastated my life at the time. So I can't even just say, especially for those of you that have been in it. And I've said this in other videos, having the wrong person in your life for even 1 second can devastate it. As somebody that was sitting on the steps with a stranger, and people came by and did a drive-by shooting or something, and they got killed or they got hurt or injured for being near that person. And that's what it feels like a lot of times when we're with these narcissists. Because we're near them, because we're with them, we're getting hit too with their dark energy. We're getting their nastiness is spilling on us too, and everybody in their circumference. But what do you do? And what happens when you're not being validated externally by this? Oftentimes, we call this a gaslighting, basically. When the narcissist is doing all these things and they never admit it. And then they go and make you seem crazy to other people. And they tell them the opposite has occurred. All their family and friends are looking at you crazy. Because the narcissists, of course, they always want to cover their tracks. But then this is another hit that the survivor is taking at a very sensitive time in their life, when they're already trying to just recover from this abuse. They're trying to make their peace with it, while everyone else is acting like it never existed. So I wanted to make this video to validate you. You're not, because this is what they say when they're saying, oh, this is crazy making. You're not crazy. You were just set up by a con artist. And you're definitely not alone. I'll be the first one to raise my hand to say that I've gone through this experience more than once in my life. But I'm standing strong here today because I learned to validate myself. I learned to validate myself. Because I remember a stage in my healing process where I wanted to force this narcissist to acknowledge. I wanted this narcissist to give me an apology. But then I had to realize, even if this person gave me an apology, they wouldn't even mean it. It would just be empty words coming out of this soulless person's mouth. And I realized even if this person admitted what they did, it wouldn't change that they did it. And it certainly wouldn't mean that they wouldn't do it again. So there was really no type of, what word would I say? There would be no type of vindication per se in that situation. Like, okay, them saying they did something covertly to me, what would it really change? Them giving me a false apology because they wanted to hoover me for more abuse, to use me for something else. It wouldn't do anything but add more salt to the wound. And that's why I said in another video, survivors have to let go of needing that apology from the narcissist, because it's not going to be sincere anyway. You're not. This wasn't a decent human being that you were dealing with. They weren't a decent person. So the best thing that we could do is validate ourselves. Know what it is that's going to occur and learn to just validate yourself. But, there are other ways you can get validation, of course, like a community like this with people who have been through these experiences. They're going to be able to validate that. This is why support groups are really helpful. And you guys see the same story, the similar patterns that these narcissists have. We're not all making it up. We're not all crazy making here. So it's extremely validating when someone who you've never talked to a day in your life can go and make a video and just tell you all about yourself because they've been through it too. It's a sickness. It's an illness, and it has the same symptoms, just like a cold. Anyone across the world can get a cold as well. And they might have the runny nose, the stuffy nose, the sore throat, a cough. They might have that. Or they may have one symptom or not all, or this symptom now and that one later. Like, the cold develops a little bit differently, but they have the same symptoms. Same thing. So, I don't want that to get you down, that this person is not going to validate your experiences unless they're doing it to hurt you, unless they're doing it to feel powerful over you. Yeah, I did this to you. Yeah. They may do it in that sense, but it's never going to be in any remorseful. It's never going to be in an empathetic type of way. It's going to be out of ignorance. It's going to be out of anger and or rage. That's what it's going to come from. And their own brokenness. But it hurts, because some of you have been through much. All of us have been through much. All of us have been through much. But I've heard some stories, man. I've heard some stories. And my heart goes out to all the survivors, It's painful. It is painful in the beginning. And every now and then, I'm sure you think about it, and it may not be as painful as day one, but it never feels right. It's never going to be like this was a great thing. You're always going to feel a little something behind it because it wasn't kind. It wasn't respectful. It wasn't honoring you. Those feelings are validations of what happened. Your actual eyes, what you seen, what you touched, what you heard, what you felt, these are all forms of validations. So don't let it get you down that this person never validated all the harm, all the disrespect, all the abuse. You know, it's criminal, really. The narcissists, they've minimally raped all of our souls. Minimally. But that's a huge, huge blow to a person's essence. But, you know, a person like that isn't then going to turn around and do the right things. Of course not. They're going to stay consistent, guys, to what they are. Their vessels are, you know, filled with demonic spirits. And they are trying to take the life out of you. But so thank God that you got away from that. I know it was a messed up experience. But you can move forward. And the world is bigger than that narcissist and that experience. Your life is bigger than that. And you can move forward. Take your lessons with you and be a stronger person. But yeah, you're going to have those days and those times and those moments, and it's going to cross your mind. You're going to self-reflect, or, you know, you're going to remember. And you might feel a little hurt behind the fact that they never validated. They never did right by you. After all that, they never reconciled it. We have to let go of it. You know, we have to let go of all the other people who took their story, who didn't believe us as well. It hurts, but we just have to move forward. We know the truth. God knows the truth as well. And I'm sure a lot of you have even put the truth out there. Now, whether other people believe it or not, it's going to be up to them. But our energy needs to be used elsewhere. We don't need to be trying to breaking our necks to convince anybody of anything. Let it be what it's going to be. Let it be what it's going to be. So, you know, I hope this video resonates with someone, because a lot of people feel like, you know, people don't understand. I understand this. Oh, do I? I understand. And I know the hurt that comes with that feeling of going through much trauma and never being validated by it externally. But I did everything that I could do to validate it to myself. Yes, I did. I did everything that I could do to validate it. And I'm proud of myself for that. And I'm proud of you guys for coming to a video like this, for continuing to do the shadow work. Stay close to, you know, to the community. Let it continue to validate you. Continue to spread the word. And spread awareness, basically. None of your experiences were in vain. They don't have to be. Because I'm sure that you've learned a lot through that. And you're still learning. And you could take that wisdom and pass it on to someone else as well. It's going to be all right. So it's going to be all right. And I've made videos about this for people who have gone through traumatic experiences. It really is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong process of healing. Does it mean that you're depressed every day of your life and dragging out of your bed? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means that sometimes you're going to think about it. And even when you get to the best space of your healing process, you're never going to forget something like this. How could you forget something that was so a turning point in your life that devastated you? That for most of you took you down to your knees, almost took you to your last breath. You're not going to forget it. Healing is not that. And I made videos just to give you guys realistic expectation of what healing looks like. Okay? Because healing doesn't mean you forget everything that happened, that you'll be 0% affected by everything that went on. It means that you've managed your hurt, the pain of the trauma down to a place where you could actually feel your happiness over that pain and hurt. It's been so minimized that you are able to thrive and function in this world and still go for your goals. That's what the healing means. It means that every day is not rainy feeling or depressing to you. It means that you have far more happy and sunny days. And when I say that emotionally, then not. That's what healing really means. It means that it doesn't control you. It doesn't have power over you and your happiness. That's what healing means. But I make these videos to just talk about each aspect because there's so many aspects, guys. And this is a big one. Because in normal relationships, when something goes wrong, that person apologizes and they try to make amends for it. And the biggest way they make the amends is by not doing it again. But that's not the experience that we got with the narcissist. They kept doing it over and over again, adding more and more to the picture and getting worse with time. And at the end of the day, we're just left with offense after offense after offense. No reconciliation, no acknowledgement, no apologies, just more disrespect, more punches to our souls. That's hurtful. That is hurtful. And then the smear campaign. So not only aren't they acknowledging it, they want to make sure nobody else within 1,000-mile radius of them will acknowledge it either. And they set that up. But those are their family and friends. They were going to be in the narcissist corner anyway. They're biased in that way. It's typical human nature. Even if they know what that narcissist is, their family is typically going to protect them. Because they come from the same tree. Honestly. They come from the same tree. You got to consider that. You know, I've coached survivors from small towns, and, you know, I'm so happy when they're able to move and have a fresh start after that horrible narcissistic abuse because, you know, the people in that small town were small-minded and the narcissist had them all fooled. And I'd be so happy when they're able to start fresh somewhere. And I'm not saying that to say that every survivor needs to be moving 1,000 miles away or to another country away from that narcissist that they dealt with. I'm not saying that, but sometimes it's a good thing to just start fresh in certain cases, you know. But I digress here. I don't want to, you know, start babbling, but, you know, just be comforted in knowing that this is what they do. They don't validate you. This is just what they do. They don't. No narcissist has validated any of the survivors. But guess what? We're still survivors. We're still survivors. We still survived without it. It wasn't nice and it wasn't kind, but we're still survivors. Because we didn't need that from them. They can't give it anyway. They can't truly give it. To give that would be, you know, yes, the omission of fault. It would be a certain level of self-reflection that they don't even have. They don't have that to give. That's why they are stuck in that fog. They don't even have it to give. So let them be what they're going to be. And you just keep rising above it. and you learn how to validate yourself and turn to sources, external sources. There are external sources that can still validate you, but just make sure you're doing it for yourself first. Don't let them talk you out of the truth now. Don't let them continue to play with your mind and they're not even in the picture just because they didn't want to admit what you seen with your own two eyes, what you felt in your heart and your soul, what you experienced. Okay? So you guys be blessed. Be blessed and keep rising because you're still a survivor regardless. You are surviving. All right? But if you're struggling, if you're having a hard time with this, I'm available for coaching. I do this, I do it in all kind of forms. Over the phone, I do Skype, I do FaceTime, I do email coaching, and I'm someone that's been there and done that. It's not much that you've experienced that I haven't with these narcissists. So, I've been through it all. I've been dating, I've been in marriages, I've dealt with family members, I've had co-parenting, all these things, divorce, separations. Look, I've been there. And anything I haven't, I'm pretty sure between all the coaching that I've done, I've heard it all under the sun, okay? So, I'm here, guys. And not only that, I have a wonderful playlist of almost 300 videos. Share the videos. And you get into them yourself. I put them into playlists to help you find topics. Put into yourself. Repeat the ones that you need to repeat. You need that reinforcement when you're reprogramming your mind from toxic ways and behaviors. You guys got this. You got this, all right, guys? So until next time, please take care. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to talk about validation because when you've been harmed in life, when you've been abused, when you've been mistreated, when you've been robbed, when you've suffered, we want to be validated by our experience. But when it comes to narcissistic abuse, the validation never comes from the person, who harmed us. The last thing that a narcissist will want to do is admit fault, sincerely apologize, try to change their way, make any type of reparations. This isn't what they do. And if they mimic it, it's for selfish reasons.